So, good evening, everybody. I guess this is our first new version of In Review, illustrating Fashion Week. And I guess we've had a busy week doing London Fashion Week Fashion Scout. So it's nice to see if a few of people have managed to jump on board and we can have a discussion. And I guess In Review is a little bit different from the crits. The crits, and I know there's a few new faces on here that are just joining us, but the crits are sort of like a critical space to discuss, review, analyze, and give feedback to work. And we usually invite in maybe someone from industry or a gallery or an agency to review the work. But I thought in this moment, I'd like to try something a bit more passive and get a bit of feedback and have more of a dialogue about the shows and look at some of the work that was created. So I'm just going to pull up on my screen. I'm just going to share my screen here. I'm just going to find Instagram. Because I think Tomeo sent hers on Instagram as well. Let me just find my tags. Tagged. Okay. So let's just have a quick share of my screen. So you should all be able to see. So on here we've got some tags. I can see some of yours, Patricia. So we'll go through them, and I'm hoping Tomeo's on here as well. I can't see her, but I'm pretty sure I'll find some bits. Did you send me some, Tomeo, or did you post them?
Yeah, I sent by email.
Okay.
I wasn't sure what tag to use. Sorry.
Even if you tag Fida worldwide.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the hashtags I don't think are working so much anymore with
I see.
Instagram. So they kind of work, but they're a lot of hard work. So if you are on your Instagram, you can just tag us, and then I can see they might pop up here. If not, I'll have a look in my email, so I can have a little check. So I guess the British shows. Let me see. I'm pretty sure, Patricia, you sent some.
Yeah, I did some. I did Erdem, and I did Burberry, and I did one other. Can't remember.
This is the Burberry show.
Yeah.
Okay, so I just wanted to have a quick scout back, and then you had a few.
Yeah, no, my favorite of the British ones would have been the Erdem drawing.
This yellow one.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was nice.
I think that's real though.
Here.
Yeah. The Erdem, if you go, probably I put it up around the time of the show being launched.
Yes, it might be a little bit earlier.
And then, having done what I liked, right? I did a drawing I actually liked. Could I repeat the same experience? No.
No, don't worry. That's quite normal. Anyway, we'll look at your animation, or we could go. Let's go onto your account, Trisha.
All right. Yeah. Okay.
That's easier. Did you post yours on your account as well, Tomeo?
I've seen Tomeo's drawings.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so we can just go into your account and review.
Yeah, go down.
So
there you go.
Just to give you an update on this, Mackenzie, as well as you're on here, is if you do any drawings, you can just. So we used to do like a hashtag, but it was so complex in hashtags now that it's just easier just to tag us. So just do @Fida Worldwide.
Got it. Okay.
On Instagram, and it's a much easier process, and that's for everybody. Just tag us, and then we can find them quite quickly. And we can scout around your work anyway. So
okay.
I really liked this one, and I thought and I think I reshared this one as well. This was so this isn't a case of critical feedback. This was more about why they kind of were the images that you selected, and
Mhm.
why you're selecting the work that you're picking to illustrate. So I guess from your point of view, Patricia,
Mm.
what would be interesting is, so there's a few things I noticed even in your Prada drawings.
Mm.
They went a bit more subtle.
Well, I mean, the difference in the fabrication was huge. You know, like Erdem. Well, what I loved about this particular duet of pieces were the color glowed against the background. It actually really just glowed, and there was, I know that Tomeo as well put some gloss on some of the fabrics. The textures, I would love to have been there in real life because the textures were superb. And when I read about the show, they were talking about the Duchess of Devonshire, and she had this passion for chickens, which kind of explains the rather foolish shoes, but it also kind of explains the tufts of kind of organza. It looked like organza feathers, for want of a better word, that were applied as a texture on top of the fabrics. And I thought they were lovely. And then the color of the gloves in the second model doesn't come quite across as beautiful as it was, because it was a glorious subtle shade of bottle green against the golden yellow. And I just thought they looked beautiful, you know.
Mm. And what I guess what appealed to me in a different way is that sort of A shape. So compositionally,
Absolutely, yeah,
I really liked how the legs gave that sort of A form,
yeah,
and
that's
you've
a
got
good
that other
point.
figure, and
Yeah,
it and the space was quite interesting. And I think what I quite liked about this, and I'm seeing a little bit in the Prada drawings as well, is that you're not drawing into the drawings as much. You're
yeah,
taking a more back seat and allowing the viewer to imagine a bit more, which I think is much more heading towards the more illustration route than the
yeah,
fashion design route. So I think
yeah.
here you've really moved the step forward and
I
kind of
felt, yeah.
allowing us to dive into the drawing and actually
Also, I
enjoy
could
it
feel,
more.
I could feel the wind under her coat in this. Now,
Yeah,
I'm sure it was by complete accident because I couldn't repeat it. But I was really, this was probably my favorite piece that I did. Yeah.
yeah. And that's kind of good to hear, because I've been looking at some other people's work recently, and editing is another part which we've always discussed, is about what images to select, what images to show, especially social media, because everyone's desperate to show everything, and editing down and finding images that really you think could capture the audience, capture the imagination. And I think when I shared it, Erdem actually liked it.
Oh, good.
And
That's always
yeah,
nice.
so
Hmm.
that was good to see. So you'd
But
be
it
surprised, they
actually,
are watching. They're
it's
watching all the time.
quite for me. I felt now in real life, Patrick, the background is slightly more blue green than the gray, so it bounces off the yellow more beautifully. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because that course I did on color kind of has gotten into my head a little bit, and so the background I consciously put in kind of a more, kind of to work with her gloves as well, a slightly more blue-green tone as opposed to how it's reading on screen, which is more gray.
Yeah. And also drawing this profile is nice. I think the way the profile's been drawn, you can see why Richard Haynes really tackles the profile, because you don't have too much worry about depth of field and things like that. So I think from that viewpoint, it's really, it really worked. And
Well, it was probably one of the ones that I preferred.
yeah,
it was the one I preferred.
and then we kind of move on to the Burberry one. And
yeah
why did you select this picture, and what's your sort of thoughts behind it?
Okay, I mean, I thought Burberry was exploring their iconic source, which is the trench coat, which is obviously completely natural for Burberry to do. And I found that in the running of the show, I found, for me, just to draw it, I found it's been there. People have done it. I have had no door to open that would make it mine or different. You know what I mean? And then suddenly the colorful dresses, and there was another one which was in a different colorway, which was a really interesting cut, came out, and I thought, ooh, they're kind of nice, and they're fresh, you know, and different. It's still quite floral, still quite English. So I gave those a lash.
Yeah, and I guess this has a Patricia touch to it, so we can see, and almost in yours has lots of storytelling. I think, you know, as I get to see more and more of the work, it has a big sort of narrative, and there's almost a dialogue happening between these two characters, which is quite nice. So
I find her, if I were to redo it again, or if I were to adjust it, her head is too far forward for her body. I know that can happen when models are moving, but from a drawing point of view, I think I'd have pushed her head and neck further back, so it was more in line with the core of her body.
yeah, I'm trying to remember. There's a really good artist who's got some work at Tate Britain, and trying to remember, is it a painting more of the German, because of the heavy blacks, because you're using heavy blacks, a lot of the sort of German expressionists and people like that, they tend to use these sort of very heavy blacks within their drawings, so it taps into that world, you know, and I think you're kind of, I'm a big fan of George Gross and all of them sort of artists and illustrators.
Well, actually, Patrick, to be fair to you and Fida, from having done it before with Connie and you, one of the lessons I learned, and one of the lessons I actually my mom accepted, in fact, it was easier to capture the feeling of the runway from the model as they turned the corner, as opposed to just full frontal.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. It's the biggest challenge is a walking model towards you, like what the photographs say.
In a simple, like other pieces, there was such a simple profile, such a simple silhouette.
Yeah,
it was. The colors were glorious, though. They were just so subtle, you know.
Yeah, no, it's good, and I think you've sort of captured it here, and it's really nice. And I think I love these profiles, and I like the fact that the character's walking off the page, so it creates a bit more storytelling, and I think that's quite important sometimes.
I kind of wanted, once I saw the Erdem one, I sort of thought, okay, Trish, I think we might have found something here. And so I sort of was learning from that, but didn't quite achieve what I did with Erdem.
Well, it's different, and I think you don't want to copy or emulate.
No, I know.
Style, but
I find this a little bit overworked, to be honest.
Yeah, I just think it's different, and I think it reminds me, as I said, the German expressionists. So if you look at, and obviously if you think about Burberry and Germany and history,
the trench invented for the Second World War, First World War,
exactly. So there's a huge sort of hidden message. An art historian would find that.
I thought of that when I was drawing this.
So an art historian would work this out, and they'd kind of dig into it and then kind of connect the dots. So there's the benefit of I guess a bit of history.
I'd love to have seen the fabric up close, because when I zoomed in, I got the feeling that the florals weren't printed; they were slightly tufted or embroidered.
Yeah, I think they were knitted or something. There was some sort of embroidery happening.
Texture, yeah.
Yeah, there was definitely some big textures, which is nice.
Which is very interesting.
Did you do any other British one?
Yeah, there, the middle one, the girl with boots. I can't remember the designer.
This one here? No.
Oh, no. Go back down to my yellow girl. One in the middle with the sexy dress.
Ah, okay.
Yeah. David Korma.
Yes. Yeah. So if you saw my list of designers, I was looking at new designers.
Yeah.
As well as past. So I picked out some really diverse ones.
He was new to me, and I liked the overall collection discipline. You know, he really controlled his shapes, his silhouettes, the color story, cuts. It was a very interesting show, but also a very commercial.
Yeah. Have you ever have you heard of James Davidson?
No.
He does because I know you like doing draw cabaret couture. He
Yeah.
does a thing called sketch sesh.
Oh yeah, I've heard of sketch sesh.
He was one of the.
I wouldn't like to say it with me, but sketch sesh, yeah.
Yes, he was one of the speakers we had on one of Connie's crits.
Yeah.
And he gave a talk with me once at London College of Fashion.
Mm.
He has a very sort of, I think you'd quite like his style, but it reminds me of something that I guess John Paul Gaultier might like, or someone like that. So in them sort of realms, and he Tom of Finland, he kind of delves into that a little bit.
Yeah.
He does these really interesting sessions, and I know he's doing them online. So I
Great.
think look him up, sketch
Be
set.
different. Yeah, I will look that up,
Yeah,
actually.
I'll tag you into his session.
And what with this one, what you can't see is I applied a little bit of glitter on the silver areas, but I've learned that it just doesn't work. It doesn't show unless you're there to see it.
Put some light on it and reflect it.
Exactly. Yeah, no, it didn't. I actually, do you know what I even think? Just like a really hard white pastel or something that will just put the sparkles in real paint, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Something will work better.
Yeah. So there's a bit of thought process behind this, is that we just did Fashion Scout, and there was a designer, well, there's a few designers. One of them is Maximilian, Rayner, who if you look him up, he I think will be a really interesting designer in the future. He was, as a kid, he did an internship with Vivienne Westwood, and he sort of had a really interesting life. He's just a recent graduate from St. Martin's. And what I really love about young new designers is they tend to have a bit of a dialogue with you. Like I reached out to him and I sent him some messages and I said, oh, we drew Fashion Scout, and he was like, oh, this is great. I'd love to like talk to you more. And these are new young designers who could be the next Gallianos or whatever. Yeah. So rather than everybody always going for these massive designers, someone like Korma and people like that, I just thought.
And Susie Fang as well was interesting.
Yes. Another great design. Like I picked designers that I thought were quite interesting as well, because
there was a big variety there, Patrick. I think you kind of covered everybody's possible taste, you know.
Yes. There was a whole realm of people, and I thought, after going to Fashion Scout and seeing so many, I thought we really need to shake it up a little. You've got a bit of Erdem, you've got a bit of Burberry, some of the brands, and then these sort of newcomers that are coming through that are really interesting. That I must admit, I never really knew of some of them. And
I would love. I mean, as you know, I've got a damaged body, so Fashion Scout is out. But I would love to have been able to draw from a video. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they do live. So if you go on to Fashion Scout, they stream it live. So
it's actually very different, you know.
Yeah. The only other thing is if I videoed it live, but this year they sat me in some really strange places. Like they sat me in the middle at the front, right, expecting to be backstage, as if I was an important person, which was quite nice.
You are.
Yes, I'd rather be sitting on the sides watching everybody rather than being watched. So I think I was opposite someone from Love Island. So I was like, I'd rather be over there because I can film and get on with stuff. So really and truly being front and center.
But some of the drawings from backstage were lovely.
Yeah, I you get more time backstage, and you got the models are sitting there for like 10 minutes getting their hair done. So you really can capture the essence. So backstage is nice, and I think maybe that's something that I might tackle a bit more, is more photography, which I could then share, and then everyone could work from.
Good point. Yeah, good point.
So
because the backstage, just the backstage poses, and as you say, the different energy that's coming off everyone is a very different vibe than the runway.
Yes.
Did you see that Armani broke the whole thing of getting his models to smile? Thought it was really funny.
Well,
I liked it.
I
That
guess
was like a
it's
big
getting
thing.
old
The
now.
models are smiling.
Yeah, and also what I am seeing from the young designers is they're trying to give the catwalk some attitude, which has
Yes,
been lost. So where it's very homogenized and
yeah,
the
and
runways are the same.
consciously body diversity, which is interesting and
Yes.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're seeing a shift. So it's
Yeah,
really nice to
for
see the
sure.
new designers. So a little bit of advice: look at new designers,
Mm.
illustrate them,
Mm.
and then see from there. Like I reposted Gemma's illustration for Maximilian, and then
Yeah.
he shared it. Fashion Scout shared it. You know, it got really good
Exposure.
Yes,
Mm.
it was a good, you know, and that's what I said. You got to do the work. So okay, lovely.
Okay,
So
that's my London. You've done me now.
London, right? So Tomeo, did you send me yours? Let me just have a look.
Yeah, actually.
It's also on Tomeo's her own Instagram page too.
Let's have a look.
You did loads, Tomeo.
Yeah.
You did. You were at it. You really went for it.
There's your,
I
there's
know,
your
wasn't that
shoes.
fantastic? The shoes. Did you
I'm-
wear
I'm-
them,
Okay.
Tomeo? Have you worn
Yeah, I
them?
tried them. No, I tried them. Yeah, but yeah, they're great. Yeah.
How far down, Tomeo? Where are we?
I think go up.
Oh
Here?
yeah, they did. Yeah,
Yeah.
from there. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I just did Erdem and Burberry because it was a bit hard to find videos of the these are only the great the brands, the famous brand, they had kind of videos, and it was a bit hard to find a reference, so I just stick to the
We did a little journal with one of the illustrators called Screenshots, and my advice was to go around and just screenshots from the videos. You get much more more interesting angles, and I think try not to draw too much from Vogue and places like that because it's just flat on. So I tend to do a bit more scouring where I'll go to ID, I'll go to The Face, all them sorts of magazines, and they have great behind the scenes, backstage, and then the videos that they put out are interesting as well. So you can get that sort of 360 viewpoint rather than Vogue.com where it's like the same shot from the front, 1,000 people looking at it. To be honest, I really like these, and I like that you're now finishing the works. They feel very complete, and you're eliminating color and just putting color where it needs to be. I think you're tapping into a new space, and I feel we're getting closer. I really feel. Do you feel happier with what you're doing?
I just wanted to catch first, the energy. Yeah, I just do very quick sketches. I do a lot, and then I trace on top and just add color.
Yeah, but that's fine. It's an approach. Don't feel like tracing is bad. I just feel it's a good approach. Are you mixing pastels with watercolor? What's this? Acrylic.
Ink. Yeah, ink and watercolor. This.
Okay.
Her profile is lovely.
It's good to man.
Yeah, this one is from the video. That's why. This one was
I much prefer the video work. I think we get a better result. And then this was Erdem as well. And and I love the composition.
Too, yeah.
Big, huge figure, and then this little figure is so much more interesting. The composition is so much better to me, and it's real. There's a real sense of space and environment, and I feel this is so much better. I love what you've done here with this huge figure and that sort of the other figure in the background. You wouldn't have done that if you hadn't worked from video. So I think,
but I did this one, but then I just did one and then I edited in Photoshop. Actually,
okay. You did a bit of sneaky. Right.
Yeah. That's good. Good thinking, though. Good thinking.
Good thinking. I like it. But it looks good.
She's coming at you. You know what I mean? It's like you're sitting in the front row with Patrick.
Yes, it's yeah. not for Erdem. And then we had this one for Erdem. This one's lovely, Samara.
Beautiful.
Really good. And
Lovely.
you're trying to find your there's a artist called Rose Wiley who is starting. Jonathan Anderson used her work for. I think he bought her work and used his work for some of their pieces or promotion for Loewe. So, and you've got a little bit of it tapping into this, and I think we're really starting to get some. I think where you're pushing your work a little bit harder and spending a bit more time on it, or if you're not spending more time on it, you're starting to understand more, which is good. So we're really getting the shape of the face, we're getting the shape of the hair.
Lovely.
The positions are getting better. So a much bigger, better result. I think this is lovely.
Lovely, isn't it? You can see the
Yeah.
light, just luminous.
I did a close up.
Yeah, but
so much better.
So well done.
Good. And it's starting to be your style, which is what's important. And I think that's the bit that people don't get, is they feel like this hyper realistic style is the way forward. We want, if you look at the work of who Show Studio selected, so Show Studio is starting to look at our work quite a lot and use the winners to be promoted on Show Studio, like Tracy, Little. They're all now doing Show Studio, and they're looking for people that are much more experimental, more creative. So this is your own tone of voice, rather than look at their catalog. It's very rare that they'll use someone who is doing something hyper realistic. So it's nice that you're doing something that's styled in your own way and your own tone of voice. So I think really, this is the right direction, and it's
Cameo,
good.
you must be really pleased, or you must be delighted with the way your work is evolving.
Yeah, I think I'm kind of
Yeah, I can see
on the right track, I think. Not quite there yet, but
I think it's great.
The little silver as well. Look,
thrilled for you.
Silver.
Yeah, I use the kind of glossy ink, and I just kind of like Patricia said, because when I scanned, it kind of didn't work. So I tried to.
That was a good idea. Very good idea.
And this is nice. And here you've also left out the background, which I like. I'm glad that sometimes you're putting it in and sometimes you're taking it out, and then you're adding it. So you're kind of mixing and matching, and it's really nice how it's got this sort of very almost like they look like charcoal or something like that, mixed with this sort of watercolor drawing. You're building up your own vocabulary, and I think that's the most important part of what makes your work now unique. So I think, Tomeo, well done. And it's just persistence.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's persistent. No, but
absolutely, it deserves a round of applause.
It is persistence, and it's hard work. And I know I'm quite tough sometimes, but it's just to get the best results. So, well done, Tomeo. And I think we're slowly digging away at that hole. And these are great. Look at this. It's lovely.
That would make a fantastic poster or print on a t-shirt.
These are lovely. This is lovely.
Aren't they?
Yeah, I use the metallic as well, and
But the shapes that you've drawn are beautiful.
Because Tomeo, because obviously you're got a graphic designer in you as well. Is instantly when I'm thinking is this would make a really nice invitation.
Yeah.
And on the front of the invitation, you have gold block foiling with a nice black ink on a really textured card. You're now giving me, the designer, ideas of how to use your work in a commercial way. Yeah, so that's your job, is to give help the designers have an imagination, because the art directors don't always have that, and they need you to sort of trigger the ideas. So I'm thinking of like silvers, really nice foiling with a black pen drawing. You can imagine Dior easily using something like this. So I think you've tapped into something quite nice. So do more.
I like the angle. It's lovely. You're looking down on those shoes. That's very clever. That's interesting.
But actually, it was based on a Vogue, on a close-up photo. So I changed a bit.
Yeah,
It's really
good.
nice because it's sort of floral meets slipper, you know?
Yeah, no, they're good to mount, and the cropping is really nice. So my next point from this is to actually think, how would this look like if it was Erdem using it to promote himself from an invitation point of view? So I would get this.
Oh, I see.
I'd make it in, because you're a graphic designer as well. Remember last time I told you, bring in all of your skills. You need to bring, and you did it with the project for Jatinda. You mixed and
That was great, yeah.
you flexed all of your skills. So use all your skills. And I think
I think that's lovely as well. I think that's a beautiful fluid drawing. You know, it's lovely.
yeah. I love the silver though. I love this really.
Yeah, that's looks.
Silver's so tasty. So
yeah, looks.
It's good. And these are quite nice, these little sketches.
Burberry, yeah.
Yeah, I did very quick. After I saw, you know, that article about Richard Haynes, he sketches everything and he makes notes, and so I just he tries to capture the energy first, and so that's I did it very quickly just to.
Yeah, good. And it's nice because
that's a lovely dance. That's a lovely.
One of the things I always said right from the beginning is that I think fashion illustrators are really good documentary people for documenting, like, cool hunting outside the shows, doing quick sketches, because it doesn't really need to be photographs. It makes it more whimsical and more fun and more playful. And because it's becoming vacuous outside a fashion show, you've got so many influencers photographing. There has to be a different touch to it, because it's just becoming boring. So the illustrations is great.
So Sarah and Julia, I think, was doing it as well. They were drawing outside the shows during Melbourne Fashion Week.
Yes.
Yeah, that was great.
It was nice.
Great.
Yeah.
A very different atmosphere, very different energy. Very nice.
Yes, and I loved what Sarah and look what Sarah's doing. You know, she's gone.
Yeah, isn't it great? Yeah, she's on a roll.
She's definitely on a roll. So good on her, and it's nice to see. And you know, being playful and being experimental and it working out, you know, and being brave. So these are great, and I wouldn't mind seeing a tiny little bit of color in there somewhere, but it's good.
Yeah, I painted the next one. I painted them all.
Okay, let's have a look.
Next post.
All right, yeah. Whoops. There we go. Oop. Oh, you did that. Yes. I remember that worked very well, that transition filtering thing you used. And you cut the print in Burberry really nicely on the green.
Yeah, good.
Yeah, I just did one background and I used it. I also a bit lazy.
No, it's fair dues to you. I think that's very sensible.
Yeah, I just presented, you know, one kind of
so do
profile, back and front.
In Photoshop, then you do the background, and then you do the drawings, and then you superimpose one on top of that background. Is that how you do it?
Yeah,
works very well.
I did everything in Photoshop. Yeah, and the transitions, it was, you know, from Instagram.
Yeah, it works though. It works. It gives that sense of movement.
This one's nice. I like
that's lovely, isn't it? Yeah. And look at the
two or three stunners.
The print. I love that one. Yeah.
Yes, I think there's some really nice ones in here.
That's a lovely one.
You know, well done overall. And look, you're putting in the hard work, and I know it's difficult, and I know it's hard to fit it in, but you know, the persistence pays off in the end.
Big time.
You just got to keep going, and I think there's some great things. And kind of think about who would be wanting to use this and commission it. So if you think about which magazines, like Elle magazine, they definitely could do with some really nice illustrations. Marie Claire, all of them magazines, they need someone like you who does quick illustrations of the show. They need to keep relevance. They can't just keep showing photographs. So there is commissioning opportunities in all them spaces. It doesn't always just have to be Vogue. I think with like Richard Hannings, him being featured, I just guess they were, because Laird, who also has been a judge for us, who is a writer for Vogue, she always covers illustration as well, and it happens every so often. So I think there's commissioning, like in England we have Stylist magazine. They would use sort of illustrations to capture fashion shows outside. I think there's lots of potential here. So, you know, well done. Good, you know, again, good work, and I think good coloration and stuff like that. So well done. I don't know if we had any others. Let me just go and have a quick last look.
I did some Prada.
Yeah, I think we're going to look at the Italians in the.
Oh, sorry, pardon me.
In the Milan show. Look, someone's sending me.
That's
sending me stuff.
Yeah.
Tomeo,
did you do the Milan Fashion Week? Did you have time?
I'm going to start.
Yeah.
So I've got, I think the
you are fast,
here,
Patricia.
And we did some really nice ones.
I'm probably not as busy in my life as you are, Tomeo.
No. So any I guess
this is lovely. The one beside my colored you one. Who's that? I can't remember who that is.
This one here?
No, the lady in the spotlight.
This one here.
Yeah.
These are Tracy Smith.
Yeah, look very nice. I thought they were very nice.
Very nice.
Yeah.
This was for her Milan stuff. So
yeah,
we'll kind of come back to that.
Wow.
And it's nice to see Tracy now, you know, being used to be pushed a bit further on the show studio platform as well. So it's nice
to see her using pastels as well, because I'm back into pastels. Lovely, isn't it?
She's been
beavering
away.
Yeah. Lovely.
Hi guys, sorry I joined really late to the meeting, but I don't know if you've already discussed the Erdem collection.
We're just going through. Have you're on there as iPhone? Who is this?
Sorry, it's Joe Bird.
Hi, Joe.
Hi guys.
Hello.
Sorry for the late coming.
No, always good to have an extra voice.
Did you tag the drawings at all, or did you?
I did tag them on Instagram, and I sent you them as well on email. There were only 2.
Let's see if I can see them in our tags, because I'm just going to have a look.
Which ones did you do? Did you do Erdem?
I did Erdem, yeah.
Yeah, lovely show. What a beautiful show. Lovely.
It was amazing.
Where are they, Joe?
You can go onto my. They should be there. With a yellow background, mustard background, digital. There it is. Ooh.
There we go. Yeah.
This one?
There we go. Yep. Hang on 2 seconds, Poppy.
Oh, wow. Very
got upstairs to bed. Wow. Oh, I've just had my 3-year-old daughter come down, which is exactly what I didn't want to happen.
That's okay.
Yes.
She's heard you talk.
Really quiet. Shh. Poppy, look, that's my work. There you go.
That's okay. So we just spoke about some of the other illustrators. We're just going through them. So what will be interesting from you is why you selected this pose, this image, and also why did you pick to do a very sort of almost wallpapery background with the image?
That was driven from reading up about his collection, which was all to do with Deborah Mitford. He actually it was amazing. It's all created from the drapes that were used in her house, and he wove them all into the entire collection.
It was very interesting. Yeah.
So I thought that was just a lovely idea. I'm a bit obsessed with the Mitford sister, dynasty. I just think it's quite an amazing period of history. And so I chose the repeat pattern because I wanted it to look like it was the curtains without having an obvious reference to drawing curtains.
Nice.
So that's why I picked. Yeah.
It looks more like wallpaper to me than
okay.
But I actually like that. I could imagine if there was a plug on the wall, and then you've got this. It looks like someone's done sketches. Like Erdem's gone in and drawn his designs on the wallpapers within the house. So you could have a bit of architrave. That could be quite a nice idea. This idea of like, as a kid, making notes, visual notes on your wallpaper at home. Your parents say don't draw on the wall.
Oh,
And this-
don't say that in front of this one. Yeah.
no. But as far as kids go and this sort of child's play, and then you could bring in these sort of textures of going to wallpaper shops, buying old
Yeah.
wallpaper, and drawing your drawings on wallpaper. It becomes your unique voice. That could be quite a nice touch. You know,
Joe,
William.
it says you did this digitally.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah, I think it's quite a good point though that you think it looks like wallpaper, because I think there could be room for more fluidity in it to echo the drapes rather than. And I think maybe doing that digitally maybe tightens me up a little bit. I don't know.
No, I actually like the idea that it could be wallpaper. And
I
then
do too.
if it was decomposed or ripped, it would feel quite tactile and textured. Rather than it being on because obviously to draw on fabric is going to be a lot harder. Where if you draw on wallpaper, like lining paper, which you could then think that, you know, as a kid, people used to draw on lining paper, much cheaper than paper.
Yeah.
It might bring out a side that you hadn't thought about. And I think it would be a nice idea. And mixing, you know, you could have a head and then that's ripped and then another piece of sort of wallpaper lower down. And it's sort of like a build-up. It's like history.
Deconstructed. Yeah, the layers,
layers of wallpaper. So that could be quite nice. And then we have.
I love this. I think this is lovely.
Thank you.
Zoom in here.
It's very graphic. It's very beautiful.
This is lovely. It's very elegantly drawn.
And how are you drawing these with what?
So I have an iPad and a pencil, and I'm using Photoshop still. Fusion, I think, is it?
So,
I'm not very...
what's the one they've got now? There's another one there.
It's not Procreate, so it's definitely Photoshop, and it was Essentials, but then I paid for. I think it is Fusion. I think.
Yeah, I was trying. I think there's another name that someone mentioned. It will come back to me in a minute. So you're doing
Adobe Fresco, maybe.
Yeah.
Wow.
These two particular ones, just because I'm a bit pushed for time. So the only time I get to really to experiment and do things is in the evenings.
Yeah,
and at that
making
point,
too much mess.
Yeah, exactly. So it's perfect. I can kind of sit and just soak it up and color on the system basically.
Yeah. What I'd like to see is, like, you've got these sort of shadows and areas around here, but thinking of someone like Matisse or someone like, I'd love to see a bit more of the environment, a bit more to just give it a bit more grounding to the space.
Yeah.
I think because this sort of figure, I like that it's sort of there and you're kind of imagining the lines and the extra bits. But if it had more of a void around it, I think it could be it will just bring it down a bit more. And I think it would just sort of add a bit more value to it. And also, if you think of someone like Patrick Caulfield, who does these very detailed and then these very graphic, almost mixing that I think you could do a bit of that.
Yeah.
Bring in a hyper detailed part, which could be an object in the background.
How do you spell that man's name? Caulfield, C-A-U-L?
Caulfield, C-A-U-L-F-I-E-L-D. Patrick
Thank you very much. Yeah.
He was a British painter, so it's really worth having a look at his work. And I think you've got Michael Craig Martin as well, but Caulfield I think is better because he mixes the two together. And also Caulfield, if he would also bring in a bit more tactility to the detailed objects with a bit of impasto. So I think what would be nice to do is you've got this really minimalist drawing, and then you have a painting of, just imagine if I was saying if we had some oranges on a table and they're very gritty and painted almost with oil paint or something, it would actually enrich this image, you know, and I think that could be a nice touch to it. It could add another dimension. And they bounce off each other, and I think that's quite nice. But this drawing as a whole, I think, is a lovely drawing. And what's your background? Are you a fashion designer?
No, so I studied at Kingston many years ago, about 20. And then I've been working freelance pretty much for the last 15 or so years, live illustrating for about the last 8.
Right,
um,
good.
but mainly commercial stuff.
Did
well,
you
the
do
live
illustration at Kingston?
Yes, yeah.
So you had Jake.
Yes, Jake Abrams. Yeah,
Yes.
love
He was-
Jake. And Brian Love, of
He was
course.
my tutor. They were both my tutors as well.
Oh,
So we've got a bit of a Kingston, the
There you go.
Kingston David Hockney love. I think
Yep.
everyone's pushed through the David Hockney world. So no, really, really nice. And I think
Oh,
a great piece here. And then
thank you.
obviously your reference.
Yeah, because I just thought I was reading about how he came up with the shoes, because the shoes were quite
Yeah,
extraordinary,
they were.
and chicken-like. He thought that might have been the inspiration behind them, I think.
My first
Yeah.
thought was trip hazard.
It was what, a trip hazard? Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't think you walked very far in those. Definitely not to beat the chickens.
I think what I would like to have seen is probably see these doors in the background. If we
Mhm.
imagine this
Mm.
space,
That's a good
imagine
idea.
them doors here.
Yeah,
This
Going
sort of
off.
room.
Like,
So you can sort of juxtapose the two together, this really nice linear drawing, and then these sort of doors. Maybe it could just be collaged on, like cut them out
yeah,
and put them on, or you could almost look like they're screen printed on, so they have like a one
that'd be nice.
monochromatic feel. So that could
yeah.
be, and it gives it,
Because
it gives it
I love
context as well.
I love the density of the detail in the chicken slippers. Matches the density of the detail in her face and hair. It's a nice
Yeah.
counterbalance. Very
Yeah.
nice.
Thank you.
I think that's where the Coalfield's probably coming to me, is the
Uh-huh.
detail in these shoes.
Mm.
I can really see that, which was really nice. So really good on that.
I
Oh,
love the images of Chatsworth on that. And that was and
amazing.
that on the fabric print was lovely.
Just that
Yeah.
whole collection was pretty
It was
fantastic.
beautiful, wasn't it? Beautiful.
Yeah,
Yeah.
really
Yeah,
was.
it
I
was
wanted
good.
to see it and touch it.
Did you do
So-
any more, Joe?
No, that was it. So this
Okay.
is my first time to one of these Zooms, so I'm guessing that people draw a lot more and a lot more from the actual collection.
Yes,
Um,
so you it depends, because we just did Fashion Scout and the deadline was a bit short. I just wanted to see a sort of an outreach and see what came back, because we've had loads of fashion, you can see some Fashion Scout up here. So I think everyone's a little bit exhausted, but for those who didn't manage to get to Fashion Scout, I thought I'd reach out and see, of the other shows. So it was quite nice to see what you've done here and to hear a bit of the sort of feedback and look at some of the other illustrators as well, which was good.
The imagery from Fashion Week was lovely. Louise's, I'd say that's
Yes,
Louise.
I can see here Louise,
Yeah.
and this was Gemma. There was loads, and you can see other
And
people.
I loved
and
that
there's
other
more
one
Louise.
of, I think that was Louise as well. That was lovely. Really liked
Yeah,
that one.
and Connie
And so
was
Connie.
there.
for the uninitiated, if Fashion Scout, where I could have gone to go to the actual shows, had I been more organized and booked that in with you.
Yes,
Is that right?
You just have to let us know early.
Okay, and
I
then
think
you save a spot at a show.
you're on Slack, aren't you?
I am, but I keep missing things. Whenever I
Okay.
check in, there's like another email thread, and I'm like, oh, and I'm like,
Okay.
kicking myself that I came to it too late.
No, you'll get used to it, and we try to feed Slack as much as possible. But maybe the threads, I do break them up a bit. So I'll add you to some of the groups so you can see.
Okay.
But and I'll help you navigate around that a bit better. Because if you're kind of stuck and you're like, what is coming up? Or I'll make some highlights. So it just to help people navigate around to Slack. But Slack is the best, rather than thousands of emails.
Okay,
Slack seems to be the best opportunity. But
and so checking it daily or every other.
You never know, because Fashion Week's on now.
Okay.
It's quite intense, and then people DM me, so you can DM me as well if you're ever stuck, or you say what's coming up, or you're confused. Feel free to just message me and say I'm lost, and just we can go from there. But it's nice to see you join in and have an introduction, and your daughter's got out of bed.
They've both got out of bed. I've got both of them on the sofa now.
Yeah.
So.
I've had to tell mine
never
to stop
mind.
using the internet, so they'll want to
Oh,
get
they're
off.
going to be corrupted at such a young age.
Overall, I think you'll see some of more Fashion Scout drawings coming back up, and then we've got the next session coming up with the Prada and all the shows for Milan. So try and have a bash at that as well, Joe. And
Excellent.
what we try to do with the as I said in review is try and do something a little bit alternative. Use your Kingston skills.
Okay.
Try something different. Try something scary. Use a different medium. So we've kind of gone down this rabbit hole of what you've done before, and I've done this with lots of the illustrators, and they probably hate me for it, but it opens up new opportunities. So just to think how you could tackle drawing, and we've got good results from some people as well. Sometimes it fails, sometimes it wins, but it's worth, I guess it's worth the testing just to make yourself put yourself out of your comfort zone. And I know you drawing on your iPad is nice, but I know Kingston, you would definitely be a sketchbook person as well. So you've got nowhere to hide now. Now I know you're a Kingston, but I knew you were Kingston anyway. So you're definitely in big trouble.
You're dead in the water, babe.
You're in big trouble. I know the expectations of Brian and Jake was very tough. So
yeah, absolutely.
You're in for it. You must have graduated not far from me then. What year did you graduate?
2001.
So I'm 99, so you're 2 years behind.
Oh,
So you're first
wow.
year. No, third year.
Oh my goodness.
You probably thought this guy's really badly behaved. I in my third year, I just hid in the screen print room. So
okay, no, I don't think we ever cropped paths.
You were all well. You were probably well behaved.
Yeah, very square.
Rebels. But anyway, so hopefully this has been a good little opener. And Mackenzie, you're on the hit list next time, so no hiding.
Yeah, no, I know. I'm so excited. I've been drawing clothing since I was like 9 because I got really into like I remember I was really inspired by I used to watch a lot of ice skating, and I did ice skating as a kid, and I was really into the costumes, and so I started like drawing the costumes, and then it just became kind of an obsession that never stopped. And so I've been doing fashion illustration for a very long time, but I just have never actually gotten to interact with other professionals, and I only recently decided that I wanted to like try to pursue it more professionally. So I've been doing it as like a hobby that I've sort of tried to peddle on the side, and I've never actually gotten to like interact with anyone else. So this is like
Good.
in heaven. Thank you.
You found your tribe.
I'm so excited.
It's not a cult. It's not a cult though. It's a tribe.
It's a tribe.
The tribe.
Good. And hopefully
clan,
next week, when I get back from Paris, we'll be ready to rock and see the work. So good luck next week and this week seeing the shows. There's been some good shows. It's definitely getting interesting.
Are we doing another review?
Yeah, so there's another one on
for Paris, I think you said, right?
We're going to do Milan because we're in Paris.
Milan, okay.
I'm in Paris doing something, so we'll be working there. So I think it's posted up online. I can reshare it on Slack, so you'll get the information, and I'll put this up on YouTube so you can watch it again if you need to. All right. So have a good night.
Some drawings and submit them.
Yes, and tag us and have a good evening and
thank you very much, Patrick.
Thank you.
Nice to hear your voices, everyone. Thanks a lot. Bye, Tamio.
Bye, Patricia. Bye, everybody.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Bye.